Alrighty. Here we are on today as I pop up on this thankful Thursday to talk to you for a moment about a point that you can see down at the bottom of the screen. Today, I want to talk to you about 7 keys to determine whether or not your dream or vision is from God. 7 keys to determine whether your dream or vision is from God. So I want you to be, if you see this later, please share it. I know I didn't say I was coming on, but just know that in this season I'm doing pop-ups. I don't know the exact time, sometimes 5, sometimes I'll post it to come on at 7, but most of the time during the week I will be on pretty much every day, probably live except for on Sunday. Somewhere during that time, Manifest Monday, of course, is Monday, but Tuesday through Saturday, I will try to pop up sometime during that day. Hopefully, usually after, how you doing, OJ? Usually after everyone gets off from work, or if it's like doing Feed the Need on Tuesday, I usually have it posted at 6:30 or 7 because of the fact that there are people out doing Feed the Need on Tuesday, and I don't want them to miss it. So I'm on here today to once again to talk about 7 keys to determine whether or not your dream, or vision is from God. 7 keys to determine whether or not your dream or vision is from God. Do you ever wonder if your dream is from God? Has that something that crossed your mind? Have you ever thought about whether your vision, the vision that you have, is it from God? So if it is, how do I know it's from God? How you doing, Henrietta? How are you going to know that is or is not from God? Well, I'm going to give you 7. Number 1 is if it captures your imagination and inspires and motivates you every day of your life, then it's probably a vision from God. I'm going to say that again. If it captivates your imagination and inspires and motivates you day after day, every day of your life, it's a dream from God. It's probably a dream from God. Just like the Sanctuary Church, Spirit and Truth Worship Center Church, it was something that God had put in me, and it captured my imagination and it inspired me for over 2 years before we were ever open up the building to start it. It was in my spirit. And so therefore I understood that it was a dream and a vision from God. Number 2, if it seems impossible and you're unable to fulfill it on your own, if what you're looking at and if you feel that it's impossible and you're unable to fulfill it on your own, then it's probably a dream from God. God never gave Pastor May and I anything to do that was possible. I'm going to say that again. God never gave Pastor May and I anything that was possible. And anything that was possible. The Sanctuary Church, it was not possible. Going to places we've been was not possible, but it was God. Because it was possible for us to do it because rather, if it was impossible, let me slow down. Because if it was possible for us to do it on our own, then it wouldn't require faith. And we know that it's impossible to please God without faith. So if you can do it on your own, it doesn't take faith. It doesn't take faith for me to go down to the 7-Eleven and buy a Coke. I have the money to do so. It takes faith for me to believe God that God would give me my own 7-Eleven because I have no possible means of doing that or franchising or whatever that impossibility is. Because if you can do it on your own, then it doesn't take faith. It has to be something that's unable for you to fulfill on your own. That was number 2. Number 3, if it seems as though it will never come to pass, but deep down on the inside of you, you're not willing to give up on it, then it's probably a dream from God. If it seems as though it will never come to pass, but deep down on the inside of you, you're unwilling to give it up, it's probably a dream from God. And I want you to hear me on that. Number 4, if not everyone is enthusiastic about it as you are, I know that's probably a dream from God. If not everyone is not enthusiastic about it as you are, it's probably a dream from God. Because some people just don't share your vision with you. There's some people you just don't share your vision with. That's a problem with a lot of times we get discouraged because we share our vision with people. Don't share your vision with everyone. All of all you'll get out of them is unbelief. If you share your vision with the wrong people, all you're ever going to get out of it is unbelief. So be careful who you share your dream or vision with. Pray to God. Hey, God, is this somebody I need to share my vision with? When God showed us about the church and told us about starting the sanctuary church, I went to my pastor and told him what I believe God was putting in my heart and what I was going to do. And when I got ready to leave, he said, "Hey, do you want to take?" I didn't tell anybody at the church that I was leaving what I was about to do because I did not want anyone from that church to follow me. I wanted God to send me the people he wanted. And I didn't share that dream with everybody. And I tried and I learned a valuable lesson because even when I got ready to start the sanctuary church, I sent out letters to all the pastors about what meeting so I could talk to them about what I was going to do. Hello, son, Pastor Terrence, and telling them about what I was going to do. And nobody showed up but one pastor. And I was wanted them to know that I'm not here to try to take your sheep. I'm here to get those that are not church, those that are lost and hurting, because that's what I was called to do. I wanted to share with them my vision, but you can't share your vision with everybody. How you doing, Daisy? I just wanted you to know that you cannot share your vision with everyone. Number 5, and I'll go back over these again. If your experience, if you've experienced resistance, setback, difficulties, frustration, and wanting to quit, then it's probably a dream or a vision from God. Every dream or vision from God, you will always experience resistance. You will always experience setbacks. I can tell you, and I'll just give you and be transparent moment here about how you can experience these things. When we when we got the land next door, and God said we was going to build a new edifice, I had my mind set on building the edifice, and there was so many setbacks. There was 2 years worth of setbacks. There was 2 years worth of frustration. There was 2 years worth of difficulties dealing with the city about trying to get the plans approved. They're adding more money onto the cost of the project, talking about putting up sidewalks that nobody was going to be, curbs and gutters. It was just so much. But after that 2 years of frustration, I knew God wanted us to build another edifice. I knew that there was something he was calling us to do, but I didn't realize that it was going to be 72254 Indian Trail, because I didn't see 72254 Indian Trail at that time. He didn't show it to me then. But when he showed it to me and I went to the county, almost within less than a year of us putting in our paperwork, we're almost at the point right now, hopefully within the next month or two, that the county is going to give us the official documents approving our plans to build. And it was 2 years of frustration dealing with the city, but now I understand that that was just my understanding that there was a division that God had for us. So I had to understand that there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be resistance, frustration, and difficulties. And that usually determines that it's a plan from God. Number 6, if it consumes your thinking and even seems to get bigger and bigger on the inside of you, is usually a dream from God. The sanctuary church, it was pretty in my spirit around 2002. Around 2002, around 2001 or so, I was starting having this uncomfortableness. But around 2002, I really felt the calling to move away and start a church of my own. I was asked to be a plant of the church I was in, but I knew that that wasn't what God was calling me to do. He wanted me to do a new work. So as the spirit and truth was birthing in me, and it got stronger and stronger to the point where the vision inside of me of Spirit and Truth Worship Center Church was bigger than the vision of where I was, I knew it was time for me to go, because you cannot have two visions in a ministry, because that causes division. And I was not going to be a partner to division. So I went to my pastor. When I told him it's time to go, he said, "Yeah, I understand." And I left because I didn't want to try to put the sanctuary, Spirit and Truth at that time, vision inside of the church that I was a part of. I love my pastor. I love the church. It was nothing wrong. There was no issues or dims, isms, and schisms. But I knew what God was putting inside of me was stronger than where I was, and it was growing bigger and bigger. And that's when I knew it had to be a vision from God. And number 7, if it defines your life and shapes your life, then it's possibly a vision from God. Because the sanctuary church, then Spirit and Truth, which is in the church, it defines who I am, reaching the lost and the hurting with the power and love of God, equipping with the covering loving with the power and love of God, equipping them to take. I'm sorry, the sanctuary church devoted to reaching lost and hurting to God with the power and love of God through the Spirit and truth of His word, equipping them to take their place in the kingdom of God. We love, we love people, and we give hope. That's what was in me. That was defines me. Loving people, loving God, giving hope. That's what defined me. And if anybody will tell you that shapes my very life, that was a shape of my very life. So I understood that that was my calling. So I had to go back and understand that that's what's inside of me. So I'm going to, for a recap, I'm going to go back over the 7 again. Number 1 was, if it captures your imagination and inspires and motivates you each and every day of your life, then it's probably a vision from God. If it captures your imagination and inspires and motivates your life day in, day out, then it's probably a vision from God. If it seems impossible and you're unable to fulfill it on your own, if it seems impossible and you're unable to fill it on your own, then it's probably a dream from God. If it seems as though it will never come to pass, but deep down on the inside of you, you're unwilling to give up on it. If it seems as though it will never come to pass, but deep down on the inside of you, you are unwilling to give up on it. Number 4, if not everyone is enthusiastic about it as you are, if everyone is not as enthusiastic about it as you are. Number 5, if you're experiencing resistance, setbacks, difficulties, frustration, and wanting to quit, it's probably a dream from God. If you're experiencing resistance, setbacks, difficulties, frustration, and wanting to quit. Number 6, if it consumes your thinking and even seems to get bigger and bigger over on the inside of you. If it consumes your thinking and even seems to get bigger and bigger on the inside of you, then it's probably a dream from God. And the last one is, if it defines your life and shapes your life, then it's probably a dream from God. So we have to understand that if we are going to go through these seasons and if we're going to go through this time, we have to understand whether or not is it a dream from God? Is it a vision from God? Now I have some focal points that I can look at to determine if I know whether or not this is a thing of God or if this is something I'm just thinking up or something I'd like to do. I pray that this has been a blessing for you. If this has helped you at all, please type in the chat. I don't have my phones with me. I'm only going by those that I can see that are on StreamYard. Currently, I only see OJ and Henrietta, Daisy, and my spiritual and my son, Pastor Terrence. Thank you, Daisy, for putting down those things that I said. But if you're watching, and if not, please share this for later, because there's some people that are going to want to know, how do I know if this is from God? How do I know this vision is from God? How do I know this dream is from God? Now I have what we would call kind of a test, pre-test to figure out whether or not it is. So I pray, like I said, if this has been a blessing to you, please just type in the chat, I've been blessed. Once again, I cannot, unless you're on StreamYard, I cannot see your comments. I will go back and look at them again. Once again, I cannot see your comments, but I will go back and look at them again. All right. It's been a blessing. I pray that you are blessed. I pray that everything concerning you on this Thankful Thursday is blessed. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, OJ. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, Henrietta. And anyone, I pray that you have been blessed. Those that responded, thank you so very much. Thank you, Daisy. Yes, please share, because I believe you. I'm telling you, you got friends. You have people that you know that are always asking, how do I know if it's this thing from God? How do I know this dream I have from God? How do I know that? Then you share this with them, and then they're able to go down this list and they can ask themselves these questions, and these are quite important. All right, so I pray that you've been blessed. I thank you for joining me on these pop-up. And once again, I need to say this so that you will understand that Monday is Manifest Monday. I will always be on Manifest Monday unless it's a holiday. And if it's not a holiday, then normally if I'm not present, one of my sons spiritual sons or pastors will be on to do that in my place. Tuesdays, I usually do a pre-recording and post it either between 6:30 or 7 because we have Feed the Need and when we're out there doing our thing for the community. Wednesdays, I normally don't post anything because we have Bible study, and I may or may not, but I normally don't on Wednesdays because we have Bible studies. Thursdays, I usually do. Fridays, I usually do. And Saturdays, I usually try to do it around 5 on the weekdays when I think people are off work. On the weekends, like Saturdays, I'll try to get it out there between noon and 4 if I'm not doing something else. Like this Saturday, I have Father and Son at 1, so I'll probably do it after Father and Son or before Father and Son. But I just want you to know that it has been a blessing to be able to share with you. I'm still working on looking at doing a podcast. I have to get with my team and see how we're going to work it out. I don't want it just to be another podcast, but I want it to be something that is meaningful and eventful. I'm looking for suggestions. If anyone have any suggestions, you can email me at Dr. Perry Ford at tsc29.org. Dr. Perry Ford at tsc29.org as whether you would think that would be a good podcast that you would like to see. I don't want to reinvent a wheel, do something and copying someone. I want to do something fresh. I want to do something relevant, and I want to do something that will be beneficial to those that are watching. All right. Love you. Bless you. This is my prayer. May the Lord keep you and may the Lord bless you. That is my prayer. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you.